Welcome to Rational Politics. We've been gone for a while, but we're back. And I'm pleased to say that I've got Ike McCorkle with me for our first show. Ike, welcome to Rational Politics.
Well, thanks so much for having me, Nigel. I can't say how much I appreciate it. I'm really happy to be here and discussing the topics and the issues that are important to all the citizens of our nation, but specifically of Congressional District 4 and rural communities right here in Colorado.
So how did the campaign go? I mean, I heard that you got 173,000 more votes than last time.
You know, it went really great. And I can't say enough about my amazing staff. We were able to engage in, all 22 counties. And we followed Colorado Cattlemen's Association around to the Rally for Rural Colorado events. And, we met constituents on the ground. But with the presence of the pandemic, it was tough to get the type of engagement that we do need to win the district, even though we did get, like you mentioned, 173,000 Coloradans to vote for us, more than any Democrat since CD4 was gerrymandered.
What do you have to do, obviously with all of your helpers as well, because this is not a single person job, but how do we now get that to over the 50% mark so that you end up having to move to Washington?
The way that we get there is by continuing to build upon the foundation that we established in the 2020 election cycle. While we did gain 30,000 votes more than the last candidate, and we're going to continue to build upon that. We need 65,000 more votes in order to win CD4. Those votes are right-leaning, conservative independents, and they're right out in our backyard in Douglas County. They're right here in you guys' backyard in Longmont, and I know that I'm the right candidate to persuade these voters, because when I go out and speak to them and I introduce myself as a retired Marine veteran with a Purple Heart, a concerned father that's willing to go to the Congress and fight for independents, Democrats, and Republicans, regardless of their party affiliation, that's the message that voters and constituents in CD4 and across America want to hear. They want leadership to bring Americans together around our shared values again, to start making progress. And that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do through the 2022 election cycle. We're going to engage in every single county. We're going to go to every rodeo, to every city festival, to every parade, and we're going to have the tough conversations and engage on the issues that are important to the constituents of CD4, and let them know that we have a plan that will garner federal investment and create opportunity in the way of jobs and water distribution infrastructure, repairing our roads and our crumbling infrastructure and our bridges, and ensuring that farmers and ranchers have access to the water that they need.
For people that don't know, here in Colorado, water is everything when it comes to farming.
It sure is, and we're right in the middle of an 18-year drought. And in my debate with Ken Buck, he said that climate change is theoretical.
The cause of the wildfires, let's start there. Obviously, we have a climate that is warming, and without regard to what the cause of that warming is, because there's going to be disagreement about that. And I think that the argument over climate change is an interesting one, and it's often a theoretical one, but it isn't going to solve the problem that we're dealing with right now.
The raging fires across our state and nation, the 18-year sustained drought that Colorado farmers and ranchers are continuing to struggle through is the result of climate change.
Right.
And we need representatives that understand that and that are ready and willing to do the hard work to pass legislation that'll invest in water distribution and storage infrastructure, specifically for our production agricultural community.
Here we are. Let's just think of 2 years, the last 2 years, and there are still people that want to deny climate change. even though the evidence is banging itself in our faces, literally every month, something or other. Look what happened in Texas just last month. Totally unexpected. They never expected weather like that.
Yeah, it's perplexing because the evidence is so clear. We have rising temperatures, we have increasing ocean acidification that's dissolving our coral reefs. We have increasing historically unprecedented wildfire seasons. We have extended drought happening, and we have to address these issues and not pretend that they don't exist.
Right. Let's just quickly move back to Ken Buck again, because a number of years ago, Ken Buck said that he agreed that there should be term limits.
Right.
And for one reason or another, that's the one thing I agree with him on, because I believe there should be term limits across the board. And he said he thought it should be 2. We're 4 terms in now with Mr. Buck. How do you know you're going to actually be running against him come the next election?
Even in our debate, said, and I do agree with him on this, that we should have term limits. However, you know, he thinks that we should have term limits as long as they don't apply to him.
Now, where else have I heard that in the Republican Party?
Right, that's kind of the trend. We have Buck running for his 4th term in office, while at the same time saying that we need term limits. I believe that we do need term limits in the House. Like you said, 2 terms in the House is only 4 years, so perhaps it needs to be 4 terms, 8-year term limit total. For representation in the House, and I think that that would make our legislature much more representative of our constituency.
Right. I know in the future we're going to be talking about money in politics, etc., etc., etc. Let's not cover that now, because you know, we somehow have to get dark money out of politics in this country.
Right.
But what about the general election itself? Do you have any thoughts about that? How it was run from both the Democratic and the Republican side?
Yeah, we do have one of the most secure election systems, and we had one of the most secure elections in our history. Both parties campaigned and turned out more voters than in any election in our history, and I think that's a good thing. With respect to Buck and the coming general election, if he elects not to run, and Buck came into office on the Tea Party wave, he's one of the most far right representatives in the House, and he stands to be replaced if he doesn't run, from what I've heard through the grapevine, by Patrick Neville, who is a former state representative and far right of the right.
So he makes Buck look like a Democrat?
Right.
Holy mackerel.
We need representation in office that is going to take care of the will, interests, and the needs of all of our constituents, Republicans, Independents, and Democrats. Continuing to move further to the right or further to the left is not going to build people's trust and confidence in our government. It's going to continue to divide the factions that have already been established in our politics, in our country, and in our culture. And we really need leadership that can bring Republicans, Independents, and Democrats, conservatives, and liberals together around our shared values, because the truth is that Americans agree on a plethora of issues. But like you mentioned, the problem with our government is bought and paid for politicians that are not serving the will and interests and needs of the people or the security of our nation, but are serving the interests of shareholders and Wall Street bankers and lobbyists.
And we should probably dedicate one program just money in politics, because it's coming from all directions. Thank you for watching part 1 of my interview with Ike McCorkle. Don't forget to tune in to part 2.